The WNBA just hit rock bottom and nobody wants to admit why. Playoff tickets are now selling for $6. $6 freaking dollars. That's less than your morning coffee, less than a bag of chips at the gas station, less than the parking fee outside the arena. This isn't some random Tuesday night game in February. These are playoff games, the supposed pinnacle of women's basketball, and they're practically giving them away. But here's what makes this even more insane. Just months ago, these same tickets were selling for over $1,000 on resale sites. People were literally fighting to get into arenas. So what the hell happened? The answer is going to piss off a lot of people, but the numbers don't lie. Let me paint you a picture of just how bad this has gotten. The Indiana Fever's recent playoff games have courtside seats. Courtside, going for $200. That's the kind of money you'd expect to pay for nosebleeds at a Lakers game, not front row seats at a professional basketball playoff. Lower bowl seats, $12 to $13. You could take your entire family to a playoff game for less than the cost of going to the movies. And before you comment saying this is normal for the WNBA, let me stop you right there. Because earlier this season, these same Fever tickets were the hottest commodity in all of basketball. Not just women's basketball, all of basketball. They were outselling Pacers games in their own city. Teams were literally moving their games to bigger arenas just to accommodate the demand when Indiana came to town. The Washington Mystics moved from a 4,200-seat gym to a 14,000-seat NBA arena. The Chicago Sky abandoned their 10,400-seat home to play at the United Center, packing in over 20,000 fans. So if you think this is just business as usual, you're not paying attention. But that wasn't the whole story. The real bombshell dropped when viewership numbers came out. Since Caitlin Clark has been sidelined with injury, WNBA ratings have cratered by over 55%. 55%! That's not a dip, that's a complete collapse. Games that were pulling in over 1 million viewers are now struggling to hit 350,000. The league literally lost more than half its audience overnight. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable for the WNBA brass. This proves what everyone was thinking, but nobody wanted to say out loud. The league's entire resurgence, its moment in the spotlight, its newfound relevance, it all rested on the shoulders of one 22-year-old rookie from Iowa. Drop a like if you saw this coming from a mile away, because the writing has been on the wall for months. What happened next would shock everyone who claimed the WNBA didn't need Caitlin Clark. Teams started doing Black Friday sales in October for playoff tickets. They're throwing in free tire changes, free car washes, literally anything to get bodies in seats. One team was offering buy one, get 3 free deals. For playoff games. This is supposed to be when demand peaks, when casual fans tune in, when the sport captures mainstream attention. Instead, arenas look like ghost towns. Entire sections sit empty during what should be the most important games of the season. And the most damning evidence? The Indiana Fever's social media strategy completely exposed their desperation. They hadn't posted a video of Caitlin Clark talking in almost a month. But guess who suddenly appeared front and center when it was time to sell playoff tickets? That's right, the injured player who isn't even suiting up. They know exactly who moves the needle, and it's not the players actually on the court. The contrast is so stark, it's almost embarrassing. Last year, during the 2024 playoffs, when Clark was healthy and playing, the cheapest ticket to see Indiana at Connecticut was $133. This year for the same matchup, $6. That's a 95% price drop. We're talking about the same teams, the same venues, the same playoff stakes. The only difference? No number 22 in uniform. And before the Caitlin Clark haters flood the comments saying she's overrated or that other players deserve recognition, nobody's arguing that players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, or Sophie Cunningham aren't talented. They absolutely are. Boston is a defensive anchor, Mitchell can score 20+ any night. And Cunningham brings that intensity fans love, but talent and marketability are two different things, and the market has spoken loud and clear. But here's where this story takes an even crazier turn. Christine Brennan, one of the most respected sports journalists in America, tweeted something that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? She compared it to golf without Tiger Woods, But even Tiger never caused this level of viewership collapse. Think about that for a second. Not even Michael Jordan leaving the Bulls caused NBA ratings to drop by 55%. Not even Tom Brady retiring made NFL numbers crater like this. We're witnessing something unprecedented in professional sports, an entire league's viability hanging on the health of one player. The panic behind closed doors must be absolutely insane right now. WNBA executives who spent all season claiming the league was bigger than one player are watching their house of cards collapse in real time. Networks that paid for broadcasting rights are seeing their investment evaporate. Sponsors who jumped on the bandwagon are probably having emergency meetings about their marketing budgets. This was supposed to be the WNBA's breakout year, the moment they finally achieved mainstream relevance after decades of struggling for attention. They had momentum, they had media coverage, they had cultural relevance, and it all disappeared the moment Caitlin Clark's groin injury was announced. The timing couldn't be worse either. This is a crucial period for the league's next media rights deal. They're trying to negotiate bigger contracts, better time slots, more national coverage. How do you walk into those negotiations when your playoff ratings are in the toilet and you can't give away tickets? What makes this even more brutal is how predictable it all was. Anyone paying attention could see the league was riding the Caitlin Clark wave without a backup plan. They didn't protect their golden goose. They let the physical play against her escalate all season. They turned a blind eye when veterans were taking cheap shots. They acted like having one superstar carry the entire league on her back was sustainable. Newsflash, it wasn't, and now they're paying the price. The same league that benefited from Clark bringing in new fans, new sponsors, and new media attention is now watching it all evaporate because they failed to build around her success. They had one job: capitalize on the momentum she created. Instead, they assumed the attention would stick around regardless. Subscribe if you want to see how this disaster unfolds, because trust me, this is just the beginning of the WNBA's problems. The ripple effects go way beyond just ticket sales and TV ratings. Merchandise sales have reportedly plummeted. Social media engagement is down across the board. The cultural conversations that made the WNBA relevant for the first time in years have shifted to other topics. Sports talk shows that couldn't stop discussing Caitlin Clark and the Fever have moved on. The league went from being part of the zeitgeist to being an afterthought again, and it happened in a matter of weeks. Even more telling, the players who spent all season complaining about the Clark coverage, saying they deserved equal attention, are getting exactly what they asked for: a chance to carry the league without her. And the results speak for themselves. Empty arenas, bargain basement ticket prices, and ratings that make league executives want to hide under their desks. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about, but everyone's thinking. The WNBA might have just fumbled the biggest opportunity in its history. They had lightning in a bottle with Caitlin Clark. She wasn't just a good player, she was a phenomenon. She brought in demographics the league had never reached. Young girls who wanted to be like her, casual sports fans who got caught up in the excitement. Even people who never watched basketball were tuning in to see what the hype was about. That kind of organic, authentic interest is marketing gold. You can't buy it, you can't manufacture it, you can only nurture it when it happens. And the WNBA failed spectacularly at that basic task. The question now becomes, what happens next? Clark will eventually heal and return to the court, but will the momentum come back with her? Or has the league already blown its shot at mainstream relevance? Because here's the thing about cultural moments: they don't always come back around. Once you lose that spotlight, once the general public moves on, it's incredibly hard to recapture that magic. The WNBA had the sports world's attention for the first time in its nearly 30-year history, and they couldn't maintain it for even a full season. That's not just disappointing, it's a catastrophic failure of leadership and vision. The $6 playoff tickets aren't just an embarrassment, they're a warning sign. They're proof that without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA reverts back to what it's always been: a niche league struggling for relevance. And that should terrify everyone involved, from the commissioner's office to the Players Association to the broadcast partners. Because if one injury can cause this level of collapse, what does that say about the league's foundation? What does it say about its future? Drop a comment with your thoughts on who's really to blame for this mess, because somebody needs to be held accountable for fumbling the biggest opportunity women's basketball has ever had. The clock is ticking on the WNBA's moment in the sun, and right now, it looks like time might already be up.